Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Farah and in today's video we're going to talk about attacking a vulnerable web view in an Android application. Before you watch this video, I want to highly recommend that you go and watch my previous video because I do break down some basics that will be needed for this one. So in this video, we're going to look at an Android application which contains a vulnerable web view. First, we will exploit it manually and then we will use oversecured scanner to see if it can detect the bug as well. And on that note, let me tell you about today's sponsors, Oversecured. Oversecured is a vulnerability scanner for Android applications. For security researchers and bug hunters, it can be very useful to scan arbitrary apps. And for companies, they also have APIs and CI/CD solutions. So before we get into this video, let me tell you about a few prerequisites needed for this attack. First, we have ADB, stands for Android Debug Bridge, which is a command line tool. It allows you to communicate with an Android device for actions like installing an application, and it also allows you to start a Unix shell on the device for running specific commands. Next, we have JADX, which is a decompiler. It decompiles Android files like .apk and .dex to readable Java source code. And lastly, we have Android Studio, which we will be using as an emulator, or you can use a real Android device if you have one. So I'll leave a link to download all of these prerequisites in the description below, so we don't have to waste time on that in this video. And for this video, I already have a vulnerable app set up. And if you want to try this yourself, then I'll leave a link to the GitHub repository as well, where you can go and download the app. So what is a web view? The WebView class in Android allows you to load a remote URL and display web pages as a part of your activity layout. It doesn't work like a full-fledged browser, but it does show data on a web page inside the activity. So you might have seen web views when you open links on social media apps like Twitter or Instagram, and the links open up within the context of the application and not a separate browser. You can see the vulnerable application is installed over here, and I'm just going to open it and show you a basic walkthrough of the application. The login credentials are mentioned on the GitHub repository of the app itself. So I'm just going to click on login, and you can see that the developer has left a message that the app is currently under development, and for any issues you can reach out to the support team by clicking on the chat icon below. So let's click on it and see what happens. So you can see that the support page has opened up, and within the page you can see that there is a web view which contains the Bugcrowd support page. So this is just what a basic web view looks like. Now I'm going to go back, and we can see that there's also a register functionality. So I'm going to click on that, and this is once again a basic registration form. So that is all that's there in this application. So let's move on. So before we get into the vulnerability, we first need to see if a web view is being used or not. So how do we check if a web view is being used by our Android application? So since web views are part of the activities of an application, we first need to decompile our app and go through the manifest file and the application's activities to see if there is a vulnerable web view. So let's go ahead and see how we can do that. So the very first thing I'm going to do is use the JADX tool to decompile the app so I can read the source code of the app. The command for that is JADX-GUI and the path of the application. Once it's decompiled, I'm going to take a look at the manifest file so that I can get an overview of the structure of the application and all of its components. So once we get an overview of all the components, let's see which one of them are exported. So there are two ways to tell if a component is exported or not. So first, if the component explicitly declares the exported equals to true attribute, and as I mentioned in my previous video, the second way to tell is that when a component has intent filters, it automatically becomes exported unless the developer overrides it with the exported equals to false attribute. Okay, so as we can see here, some of the components are exported. Support WebView and registration WebView are explicitly exported, while main activity is exported by mentioning intent filters. So now I think I'm going to go to registration web view. I am going to go to the left and click on COM. Then on the application, and below I can see the registration web view activity. I'm going to click on that, and once it opens up, I can see that The web view and the web view client have been imported to the activity, and when I scroll down below, I can see that a web view is being used. So now that we have confirmed that this activity is using a web view, let's see how we can spot the vulnerability. So when we look at the web view object closely, we can see that it's loading a URL right at the end, and it's using a string sent through the intent to load the URL. So this behavior can then be exploited by third-party applications by sending an intent to this component with a URL string, and the application will happily accept it because this component is exported, which means that third-party applications have access to it. For the exploitation, I'm going to use my emulator on which the vulnerable application has been installed, and then we will use ADB to send an intent to the component, and this intent will open up a malicious web page provided by the attacker within the context of the application. So I have my vulnerable app installed on an emulator, and now I'm going to use ADB to send the intent. So ADB shell starts a Unix shell on our device. AM stands for Activity Manager, and here we are instructing Android to start the Activity Manager, which is used to manage all the components in the application. -N is a flag used for mentioning the name of the component where we are sending our intent to, and here we're going to go and get the name from the manifest file. I'm just going to copy the value and paste it over here. I'm going to add a slash right here, and --es stands for extra string, where we are going to enter the string URL. So the name of the extra, which we can get from the registration web view activity, is reg_URL. Again, I'm going to copy that value and paste it. Now I'm going to give the name of the domain which I want to open up inside the application. So let's just give evil.com and see what happens. I do not need to mention any action data or category values since there were no intent filters in the manifest file. Here you can see that I've sent the intent and it has opened up evil.com within the context of the vulnerable application. So that was how we exploited a vulnerable exported activity which contained a WebView object. This was just a simple attack to demonstrate how the bug works. But if you find this bug on a target, then there are many ways you can escalate it. For example, if the application leaks an authorization token while requesting the attacker control domain, then it may be possible to escalate a vulnerable web view to a full account takeover. Another scenario could be that if the application requests URLs using HTTP, then it may also be possible to leak some sensitive tokens. Another setting that the developer can configure is allowing JavaScript running within the context of a file scheme URL to access content from any origin, including other file scheme URLs. This setting basically removes all same origin policy restrictions and allows the web view to make requests to the web from a file, which would normally not be possible. This means that you could read local files using JavaScript and then send them across the web to an attacker-controlled domain. And since this component is exported, this behavior can be very dangerous because it can allow the attacker to read arbitrary files which may be private to the application. So let's look at a demo for this. The previous activity that we looked at for the earlier attack, registration web view, also has this setting enabled, so we can exploit the bug on the same activity. I have created an exploit code within the SD card of my phone, so I'm just going to open that up and show it to you so I can explain the code. So I'm just going to start a shell and then navigate to the directory where I have stored my exploit code. Now I'm just going to open the code so I can explain it to you. Okay, so I have just copied the content of my exploit code into an editor so it looks better. So as you can see, the code is written in JavaScript, and first I'm declaring a variable called URL, which is a file path, and the data directory is typically supposed to be private and it's supposed to only be accessible by the application. And here I have given a path to a file called mainActivity.xml, which is within that data directory. The shared preferences directory contains XML files, which in this case contain the login information in a key value format. So as you can see in the comments, it is a local page. Next, I'm declaring a function called load, and this will load the file path and it will make a request to the file path. And once the request for that is loaded, it will make another request to my Burp collaborator link. And here I've added another parameter called exfiltrated, and the value for that parameter will be the response I receive from the request that I made earlier for the file, and it will be base64 encoded. So in the comments it is written that it will send the base64 encoded file to the attacker. Next, I have just finished up the request, and lastly I am calling the load function to load the file URL. So let me close this shell and then clear that up. So now we come to the main exploitation part, and here we are going to use ADB to send our intent. So the intent will remain the same as the previous bug, but we are going to change our URL. So let me just copy all of the information that's needed and construct our intent. So as I said before, our URL over here will be the path to the exploit code that we just saw. So let me go ahead and send that now. Oh, oops, I forgot to add the slash in the name of the component. So now once I send it, you can see that the intent has opened up the registration page, and there was no response to my exploit code, but I am going to go and check my Burp collaborator link now. So let me quickly open that up. I'm going to poll now, and as you can see that the collaborator server has received a request, and in the exfiltrated parameter you can see that there is a base64 encoded string. So let me just go ahead and send that to decoder. When I decode it as base64, you can see that the content of the file has been loaded over here, and the password and the username in string form has been disclosed. So another feature of a web view is that it supports the use of JavaScript. So a developer can enable the use of JavaScript in their web view by adding this configuration, and moreover adding this configuration creates an interface between the web page's JavaScript and the client-side Java code of the application. And this means that the web page's JavaScript can access and inject Java code into the application. And once again, since this activity is exported, this behavior can be dangerous and allow an attacker to carry out many attacks, including XSS and stealing tokens from the application. So let's look at a demo for this. For the earlier attack does not have the JavaScript interface setting enabled, so we cannot exploit this on the same activity, and we're going to look for another activity. As you can see that there is a support web view activity, so I'm just going to go ahead and navigate to that. After navigating to it, I can see that there is a web view object over here, and there's a lot going on, so let me explain everything to you. So first we have just started a new web view client, and then we have enabled the settings for JavaScript. Then we have also added some extra headers, and here we have added an authorization header which has the value of the user's token. Next we have added the JavaScript interface setting, and we have just given a name to the interface called Android. Also, when I right click on web app interface over here, I can go to declaration, and you can see that this is the JavaScript interface, and this is where the JavaScript interface has been declared. And lastly, as you can see that similar to the previous attack, this web view also loads the URL by accepting a string URL. So for the exploitation of this bug, we're going to use an exploit code hosted on this URL, and I am just going to view the page source now so that I can explain the exploit code to you. So it's actually pretty simple. This is simply writing token, and then it is calling the get user token method on the Android object. And if you remember from before, Android was the name of the interface, and get user token will get the value of the authorization header. So let's construct our intent now. I'm just going to copy this URL. So for the construction of the intent, all the flags will once again remain the same as the previous ADB command. However, we will have to make a few changes because this exploitation is on another activity. So I'm just going to copy the name of the new activity. And we will also have to change our extra to support URL. And instead of mentioning a regular URL or a file path, we will mention the URL where our exploit code is hosted. So this is what our final intent will look like, and let's go ahead and send it. So once I send it, you can see that the support page has opened up, and we can see that the token value has been disclosed over here. So now that we have exploited this manually, let's see if Oversecured Scanner can also detect this vulnerability. For scanning the application using Oversecured, I'm just going to open up their website, and I'm going to log into my account and then click on New Scan. I'm going to drag and drop the vulnerable application and then wait for it to upload. So once it's uploaded, I can see that the total price is 0 because the first 3 scans are free. So I'm just going to notify and start scanning. I'm just going to wait for a bit until the scan is complete. Application has finished scanning, so let's open up and see what the report looks like. So you can see that all the bugs that we discovered, file theft via web view, universal file access from file URIs, and set JavaScript enabled, and all of that has been mentioned over here. So let's look at one of these vulnerabilities closely. So I'm going to open the file theft via web view vulnerability, and as you can see here that Oversecured has flagged the vulnerable activity, which is registration web view, and when we expand, we can see the highlighted paths, and those are the vulnerable code. And the same goes for cross-site scripting. Oversecured has highlighted the vulnerable activity, which is support web view, and as we saw earlier, it had JavaScript enabled, and it also had the URL passing as a string. So if you want to check out Oversecured, definitely check them out. I think it's a very easy service to use. And that's all I have for you in this video. If you learned something new, then definitely like this video and subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be posting videos like this a lot more often. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.